So now just ask that same question and we'll kind of
Okay.
be normal, right?
So can you explain what a publisher is?
Well, like I say, when I first got into fine art, and somebody said, "Oh, you need a publisher," I was thinking, "Oh, am I getting a book published?" Or I don't know. A publisher in fine art is really like a manager, but they're also involved in printing all your giclée. They kind of sponsor you, they get you into galleries, and I mean basically they're your manager or agent, but they're usually footing the bill for all of the costs of the production of the limited editions and stuff like that. But they're also involved in promoting you. They're taking out ads in magazines or setting up press conferences. So they're not like a publisher like what we would think a publisher is at all. And sometimes they may not even be printing at all. I mean, if you're not doing limited editions, they may just be involved in selling the originals, but they'll still be called a publisher. Like, I mean, you've had publishers, I assume, yes. Good and bad.
We've all had good and bad.
Right.
I think they have morphed a little bit, that they're becoming more PR. And if you can get a really good publisher, then they take on the responsibility of promoting your career, along with the fact that they're going to do lithographs or your serigraphs or your giclées. But to be able to combine a good publisher, right, and that's why we say there's some good and some bad, is that you hope that they have some sort of idea about being able to promote, in addition to just being the individual who creates the work and gets it out to the market. So I think that a publisher, if they're leaning heavily on the PR end, I prefer that type of publisher.
Yeah, no, I agree, because they're taking a big chunk of the change. So if they're not actually creating sales, as opposed to just managing the sales, then they're not worth their money. They need to be, because literally, and this is what people don't sometimes understand in the business of art, and I'm probably revealing too much here, but as you know, I'm sure you know that galleries almost always, they double whatever is your wholesale price. If we're selling a piece for $5,000 to a gallery, they're selling it for $10,000 to the market, and maybe they'll bring it up or down 10%. Well, if you have a publisher, out of my $5,000, he's taking half of that. So if he's not earning his keep by producing a lot of sales, what's the point? Because on a $10,000 piece, often an artist ends up with $2,500, a quarter of what the final sale is. So people go, well, how does it cost $10,000? And it used to bother me that galleries got that kind of markup, but as you see what galleries are going through right now, I mean, they are falling right and left because they're paying so much for their space, for their inventory, for the staff and everything like that, and they're competing with the internet. So it now actually makes sense that they get that kind of profit on the art, But it's surprising when you realize if we have an agent or a publisher, we're literally often making a quarter of what the final sale on the art is. That's why it's nice to, if you can do it on your own, it's a good thing.
They're earning a lot more today than they ever did before, because they're having to work much harder to get the information out to the public that there is an event occurring or there's something that's going on that would be of interest to somebody.
Yeah.
So
you guys agree then that this is the best way to buy art versus in a store or something?
Oh yeah, I think you get a much better opportunity here. What a gallery is much more fixed. You got some flexibility here. I mean, even though they have a minimum, their minimum is below what either of us do in a gallery. So to me, it is a good opportunity. And what Elliot was saying too is true in terms of the market. We're still lagging behind on the bounce back. The last 6 or 7 years, the art market has probably been the lowest it's been in 60 years. I mean, compared to the 80s.
It does create, and what's really funny to me is that when the market dips off, in whatever it is, whether it be art or it's commodities, it creates such a great opportunity for people to be able to step into the market and to purchase low.
Yeah,
So that when the market rebounds,
yeah.
they
and that's the thing. Right now is right at that. The market is coming back up. I mean, I've experienced this year
Yes, I
alone,
do too.
sales are coming up. But we haven't started raising our prices yet because we're just getting that feel that it's coming
So
back.
this is
so
the-
it is.
the
It's a great, I think it's a great
exactly.
opportunity.
Yeah.
When was the market the lowest?
probably 2009.
What?
I would
Yeah,
say
about
2009,
3 or
10.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
Just
That's good. That's when we bought
just
this material.
brutal.
Yeah.
Then you did the right. I mean, just brutal. Literally, and like several years back, I was with Jack Gallery. They had a chain. They had like 7 or 8 huge galleries: New Orleans, Chicago, L.A. Here at the Benito, they had 3 different galleries here in Las Vegas. They went bankrupt, and they were a huge gallery with top artists, and they went completely under. So, and this happened about 3 years ago. So yeah, the market, and when that happens, it means that a lot of work is going, and artists are desperate, galleries are desperate, the market goes way down. Because let's face it, in a bad economy, these are a luxury. Unless you got the money, why would you buy these? You know, and we do lag. The economy's coming back, but our market is still. It's come up. It definitely come up from last year, but it's not even close to recovering yet. I would say in 5 years, anything you purchase here, and I'm not just saying that as a sales thing. Anything you purchase here, 5 years from now, you will say that was a good choice.
So the price here, you were talking. I read in here where it says we pay a 10% fee above the sale price. Is that what the publisher gets then, or does he get part of this other? And the 10% is.
I actually don't know. I hadn't read that, so I don't know quite how he. I mean, I did glance at the prices of what his minimum prices are on my pieces, and they are lower than the galleries. I can tell you that much. I mean, I actually show at a gallery over here in the Forum Shops, and the pieces sell for more. So,
You guys have an input on what price you want to put on each piece? I would think you would.
We do.
Yeah. I mean, we advise them. We know what our pieces sell for, because you have to be fair to your galleries too. You can't completely undersell them, but you want to go for something like this. That's an auction. It's going to be lower than your galleries, but you gotta treat everybody right in your little world.
To answer your question about the 10%, most of the auction houses out there that you go to that you participate with, they have a percentage that they have to get to go ahead and do business and continue to do business. Sotheby's and Christie's is upwards of 30 to 40% sometimes, depending upon what they're doing. So on the cruise ships, I think the buyer's premium is 15%. So a 10% buyer's premium is actually very low for the market value of what auction houses typically charge. And it's just the cost of doing business.
And see, when you go to an antique auction, most of the time the price you pay for the antique is you don't pay it.
The buyer's premium.
Right. You don't.
On our part, the buyer's premium is always.
I think I remember paying that.
Yeah, I know we did. Yeah.
So what were you asking about Giclées?
Oh, way back then.
Oh,
we were talking
yeah,
about
we were way back.
uniques versus
uniques, yeah.
mixed media versus originals, and
Well, we have 2 materials, and I took this off of the certificates. So one is original, unique, mixed media, and I was just asking him, the difference. It seems like it says the word twice, and original and unique seem to be the same word. So I was looking.
What was your take?
well, my thought was usually when I hear unique, it means that more often than not, it's a print that they've extensively painted over, and so there can be other pieces out there that are similar, like a similar image, but are different because they painted over, but they're repeating the image. So it's not an entirely original image that no one else is going to have. I think that's generally my experience what unique is. So it's original to a point, but that imagery is going to exist other places.
Yeah, we've seen similar. Not the big one that we bought that says original, but the smaller one that says originally unique. We've seen others that resemble it.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. He's taken maybe that base and then painted over that. Whereas now, say an embellished clay or an embellished print, they're just taking the print, and pretty much 95% of it is that print, and then maybe they're going over with little spot areas of putting some brush strokes in or some color, so that at least you feel like the artist's hand touched it, although some artists hire assistants to do that, so you may not even get the artist's hand, but at least it's different than the other Joe who bought the same print. It's a little different. So, with all people, the idea of art is that a buyer likes to feel like they have something special that's unique to them. So that's kind of one way that they figured out might be a way of giving that, where people can't always afford an original. So you get a print, and maybe it's a little different than the other guy who has the same print. But yeah, I think the uniques, it's more extensive, but it's still, you're painting over a print, and you're going to see that image, like you said, you've seen that image elsewhere.
As far as value, will it keep as good of value as you're talking about an original?
When you talk about value, what I think of when you talk about that is future value.
Future value.
Right. So when you talk about future value of anything, it always comes down to an original is always going to increase in value more than a print, a lithograph, a serograph, a giclée, a hand-embellished piece. They won't increase at the same rate as the original. The original may go up 4, 5, 10 times in value, when the print of that same original will only go up 25%. So you're always better off if you're looking for a particular piece for investment purposes for future value to go with an original.
Right. Yeah.
Because the increase will be dramatic compared to the other pieces.
That's what we did.
On the other hand, it does depend on the artist too.
That's true. Look at Andy Warhol.
You could get an original by Joe Schmo that it barely went up in value, and you can get a print by Andy Warhol that went through the roof, right? So compared to another Andy Warhol original, no, the print isn't going to be. So, finding the right artists and an artist that you believe in, that you see the potential for.
Lithograph, Rauschenberg, Rosenquist, Edward Hopper. You go into any of that arena of what would be considered to be the A artists or AAA artists. I don't know how far we go there.
Imagine if you had gotten one of those, Campbell soup prints. Those were going for $150 each.
Right, $150 each. So